so last week we talked briefly about the beef between rappers Kendrick Lamar and Drake. We talked about it last night at dinner. I'm still confused.
I've not stopped talking about it.
I'm still confused. That whole thing threw all of hip-hop into the spotlight as though it ever left the spotlight.
I was going to say, please.
Yes.
Please. In 2023, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. The Bronx claims to be the birthplace of the genre, but how did it evolve from music at a party, a block party, to an iconic piece of music history? The new documentary, Microphone Check, The Hidden History of Hip-Hop, aims to find out just that.
It's the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, and we still have a lot of discrepancies as far as the origins of hip-hop, a lot of claims, who did what, who was the first this, who was the this and that, and such and such. But at the end of the day, we need a definitive story, all right? And that story can only be told by the founders of this culture.
Like everything was being driven and influenced by young, black, American culture, like the slang, the style of dress, the initial music that we chose.
Yeah, there it is.
Joining us live this morning to talk all about it is director Tariq Nasheed. Welcome to New York Living, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Well, since we have you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this Kendrick Lamar, Drake, J. Cole beef?
I think it's good for hip-hop. It's one of the best rap beefs that we've had in years. And that's the tradition of hip-hop. Hip-hop has always had rap beefs. One of the people in our movie is a guy named Busy B. He was a very prominent MC in the early Bronx era, and he had an infamous battle with rapper Kool Moe Dee. And that went viral for the time. And that put Kool Moe Dee on the map. So we've always had these rap battles that were iconic, and this is just a tradition of that. And I think it's healthy as long as it stays on wax.
Well, as long as it stays on wax.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
But real
There's
quick,
a line.
Are they your top three right now?
My top 3 favorite rappers or what?
Well,
or
they're
battles?
They're claiming that they are the top 3 hip-hop
Greatest,
artists right now.
Okay.
Would you agree? Drake?
I would say yes to a certain degree. I would throw Jay-Z in there as well. You know.
Don't be ridiculous.
Right. But as far as the people that's on the air now, those are the hot guys, and they're having this big, massive battle. So, you know, this has the hip-hop community in an uproar.
You know what? You're right, and I'm here for it because it's just more. What do they say? Any press is good press.
Any press is good press.
Your name on the map. Okay, well, your documentary had its New York City premiere over the weekend. How are we doing? How are we feeling coming off of it? How has it been received?
Oh, it was great. We had 2 sold-out showings here in New York City. There were sold-out showings in Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago. So it's been received very well. We're going to have another week-long run of the film because it was so successful. And a lot of people were very pleased that we went very deep with the history of hip-hop and why, where, and when all of this stuff happened, because nobody really gets into the personalities and where they came from, what inspired them to start breakdancing, what inspired them to start taking 2 records and scratching them back and forth. So yeah, we wanted to get into the sociology of it. So a lot of people appreciate that aspect.
Now, I'm going to push back ever so slightly. I am born and bred in the Bronx, and I know full well hip-hop was born in the Bronx.
Yes, it was.
You're going even further back. From Sedgwick. To where?
What we're doing is saying where the seeds and the roots came from. Because a lot of the people in the Bronx, they came and migrated from the South after World War II. So they brought a lot of the soul rhythms with them. The baby boomers, which are the parents of Generation X, they bought a lot of records in the 1960s and 70s. That was a big staple in Black American households. So the kids would go through these records and find the breaks, and we had people rapping on records in the 60s. So a lot of the seeds were coming from the South, and it was flowered in the Bronx. So we talk about the origin story of everything and where people got these elements from.
What's the first record you bought?
The first record I bought was Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang, actually. Yes, that was the first record.
Such a good one.
Yes, it is.
Such a good one.
How long is that song?
Oh, it was like 15 minutes.
15 minutes,
right. Because they wanted to emulate a party when they did that song. That's why the record doesn't have a chorus. So they wanted to emulate a party. So put the record on and just let the record go on and on and on. This was before they formatted it for radio.
That is so true.
Yeah.
It doesn't
have a chorus. It doesn't. They just rap the whole record
the whole way through.
And I love every second of it.
Me too.
Everybody knows that's one of the records. Everybody knows the words.
How many times?
Oh, just dozens of times.
Over. I feel like every year.
Right.
Let's talk about, you talk about
Yeah.
the 5 elements of hip hop.
Yes.
So let's get into them.
The first element is rapping, that's the MCing. Second element is DJing. The third element is b-boying, that's the breakdancing. The fourth,
B-boying?
yes, yeah, breakboying. They would break dance over break beats.
Legs, what legs does?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
The fourth element, that is the graffiti. And the graffiti came out of Philadelphia by way of a guy named Cornbread, and it reached the Bronx.
What about Tat's crew?
Yeah, there were some graffiti guys that came here after the Philly
Sure,
guys.
okay.
And graffiti got tapped into hip hop because a lot of the graffiti writers became guys who made flyers for hip hop parties. So they would make the handwritten
That's
flyers.
right. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And the fifth element is the knowledge, and that was very important. There was a group on the rise at the same time as early hip hop called the 5% Nation, and they were doing security at some of the early hip hop parties, and some of them brought the knowledge
Sure.
element to hip hop. So
Nas
those are the
talks a
fun.
lot about the 5% influence.
Yes, indeed. Rakim was the 5%.
Rakim.
Big Daddy Kane, a lot
Oh
of
my
these
God.
guys.
Wow. So when did you, can you remember the first time, I know you had your first record, the first time you realized, oh, I'm listening to hip hop and this is much bigger than a record or a cassette?
Probably with Run DMC. When I first heard Run DMC, I said, okay, this is a thing. With these guys, they're taking it to a different level. We've always had people do clever rhymes within foundational Black American society. There were people like Pigmeat Markham. You had people like Dolomite, a guy named Rudy Ray Moore, who was a part of the big Blaxploitation movement, where we had these rhymes and toast and the playing the dozen. So that was a staple in our community. But for them to start doing it over funk beats, that was something different. So that became a whole different genre, which was hip hop.
Love it.
Okay. What was the most surprising thing that you learned during the making of this documentary?
One interesting thing I learned from some of the pioneers were the gangs in New York. You know, in the Bronx, there were a lot of gangs.
It's a whole movie on it.
Yeah. They would use the gangs to do security for the parties out there. And most of the hip hop artists themselves, they pretty much kept out of the violence. And they were all on code with each other to a certain degree. So that was interesting to me, that gang element, and how a lot of the gangs morphed into b-boy crews.
Wow.
So they were using hip hop to get out of the streets and kind of elevate themselves.
Fantastic. Well, Microphone Check needs to be seen by lots of people.
Yes.
Where are you going to take it next?
We're going to have another theatrical run. Then we're going to have it on streaming platforms. We're going to have it on Amazon Prime. We have a streaming platform called FBA Stream, and people can go to microphonecheck.com to get the Blu-ray. The big demand. Yes, the big
Yeah.
demand. We still do Blu-rays. People
I
still
love
have
it.
Blu-rays.
Here,
We still
here.
do Blu-rays.
We got you, Blu-ray. Well, Tariq, this has been fantastic.
Yes.
Pleasure having this conversation with you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.